They say marriage is like a garden. You plant the seeds of love in the beginning, water them with attention, and watch them bloom into something beautiful. But here's the truth no one really warns you about. Even the most vibrant garden can quietly wither if you stop tending to it. And the danger is, emotional boredom doesn't arrive like a sudden storm. It's more like a slow, creeping fog. It drifts in quietly, without announcement. Until one day you realize you can't see the colors the same way anymore. It's hidden in the moments you don't talk about. The long silences at the dinner table where the clinking of cutlery feels louder than your words. It's in the conversations that feel like reruns of a show you've already watched too many times. It's in the way your partner's presence begins to fade into the background, like wallpaper, there, but no longer something you notice. At first you dismiss it. You tell yourself it's just a busy week, a temporary lull, something all couples go through. You believe that if you just wait it out, it will fix itself. But emotional disconnection doesn't usually fix itself. It grows, quietly feeding on neglect, unspoken feelings, and unmet needs. Over time, that small gap between you and your partner can turn into a canyon. And when it does, the person sitting right next to you can feel miles away. The danger is not that love is gone, it's that love becomes numb, wrapped in layers of routine and predictability until passion, curiosity, and excitement are buried deep beneath the surface. That's why understanding the psychology of emotional boredom in marriage is so important. Because it's not just about getting along or staying together. It's about protecting the connection that makes your relationship feel alive. Today, we're going to peel back the layers and explore why emotional boredom happens, the silent ways it takes root, and most importantly, how you can spot the signs early and reignite the spark before it fades into something you can't recover. Emotional boredom in marriage doesn't always come from a lack of love. In fact, many couples who feel bored still care deeply for each other. The problem is often a lack of emotional engagement. A slow drift from the vibrant curiosity and excitement that marked the early days. In the beginning, there's novelty. Late-night conversations that stretch into the early hours, the thrill of discovering each other's quirks, the joy of experiencing firsts together. You share dreams, swap stories you've never told anyone, and your minds are constantly feeding off the freshness of the connection. But as time passes, couples often settle into patterns. You wake up, follow the same morning routine, have the same types of conversations, and end the day in familiar ways. These routines can be comforting. They create a sense of safety and stability. But stability without stimulation can quietly slip into monotony. Our brains are wired to crave novelty. Without it, our emotional world begins to feel flat. It's not that your partner is less lovable. It's that your shared emotional environment has become predictable. And predictability, while good for some parts of life, can starve a relationship of the spark it once had. The key to avoiding emotional boredom is recognizing that emotional connection is not a one-time investment you make when you get married and then leave on autopilot. It's a living, breathing part of your relationship that needs regular care and intentional effort. Without it, even strong relationships can start to feel like mere coexistence. One of the most powerful ways to maintain this connection is through shared growth. Shared growth means deliberately engaging in activities that challenge you both. Not just individually, but as a team. It's about creating opportunities to step outside the comfort zone together, so you both experience the vulnerability, excitement, and bonding that come with new challenges. This could mean learning a new language, taking a dance class, starting a joint business venture, training for a fitness goal, or traveling somewhere completely unfamiliar. The magic here isn't just in the activity. It's in the shared emotional experience. When you and your partner navigate the unknown together, you're creating fresh stories, new inside jokes, and a deeper sense of partnership. Neuroscience even supports this. New experiences trigger the brain to release dopamine, the feel-good neurotransmitter. When you share these dopamine-boosting moments with your partner, your brain begins to associate that positive feeling with them, naturally reigniting attraction and affection. It's also important to nurture micro-connections. Small, intentional moments of engagement that happen every day. This could be as simple as asking deeper questions instead of settling for the routine. How was your day? Try asking, what made you laugh today? Or what's been on your mind lately? These kinds of questions invite vulnerability and give you fresh insight into each other's inner worlds. The truth is, relationships don't run out of love. They run out of moments that feed that love. By keeping curiosity alive, actively seeking out novelty, and choosing growth over comfort, you can transform emotional boredom into emotional richness. You stop being just a couple living under the same roof and start becoming partners in an ongoing adventure. One where the journey never stops being interesting. Another important factor is communication. Not just the routine, surface-level exchanges that revolve around schedules, chores, or what's for dinner tonight. But deep, meaningful conversations that touch the heart. This is the kind of communication that goes beyond the safe zone of "how was your day?" and instead dives into the questions that reveal who your partner is becoming. Ask about their evolving dreams, their hidden fears, and even the doubts they hesitate to voice. You might be surprised at how much you don't yet know about the person you love, even if you've been together for years. People are not static. They grow, change, and develop new layers over time. Emotional boredom often creeps in not because love has faded, but because curiosity has. When we stop asking, stop exploring, and stop trying to truly understand our partner's inner world, the relationship starts to feel stagnant. But when we maintain genuine curiosity, when we treat our partner like a book we've only just begun to read, the connection stays alive, vibrant, and constantly evolving. Physical intimacy also plays a powerful role in keeping relationships thriving, but here's something people often overlook. It's not only about sexual connection. While passion is important, the foundation of intimacy is built on small, everyday acts of closeness. Simple gestures like holding hands during a walk, giving an unexpected hug in the kitchen, brushing your fingers through their hair, or resting your hand on their back while waiting in line. These might seem small, but they carry an enormous emotional weight. They communicate, "I see you. I feel you. I'm here with you." These moments trigger the release of oxytocin, often called the bonding hormone, which strengthens trust and deepens emotional attachment. In fact, science shows that frequent physical affection can lower stress, improve mood, and even reduce conflict because it reminds the brain that your partner is a safe, comforting presence. And in long-term relationships, these micro-moments of touch can sometimes be even more impactful than elaborate romantic gestures. Flowers fade, fancy dinners end, but the memory of your partner squeezing your hand during a hard moment or pulling you close when you needed it most, those linger forever. When communication and intimacy work together, they create a cycle of connection. Deep conversations make you feel closer, which naturally invites more affection, and that affection makes you feel safe enough to open up even more. This ongoing exchange of words, touch, and emotional presence is what keeps relationships from falling into autopilot mode. It turns an ordinary partnership into a living, breathing bond that continues to grow stronger year after year. It's also worth noting that personal growth is not just an optional extra in marriage. It's one of the most vital forces that keep the relationship alive. Think of it like tending a garden. If each plant grows strong and healthy on its own, the whole garden flourishes. When both partners continue to evolve individually, pursuing passions, learning new skills, expanding their knowledge, and even challenging their own comfort zones, they inject fresh energy, curiosity, and inspiration into the relationship. Suddenly, conversations become more exciting because there's something new to share. You're not just talking about bills, chores, or daily routines. You're talking about dreams, discoveries, and experiences that keep the spark alive. Emotional boredom doesn't happen overnight. It creeps in when life becomes predictable and stagnant. When one or both partners stop growing, the relationship risks falling into a repetitive cycle where nothing feels new. But in a marriage where both individuals are expanding in their own worlds, whether it's through career development, creative hobbies, personal fitness goals, or learning a language, there's always a sense of motion. That motion fuels attraction, because we are naturally drawn to people who are passionate and engaged with life. Just as important is the courage to address conflicts openly instead of letting them simmer beneath the surface. Many couples mistakenly believe that avoiding arguments equals harmony, but in reality, unspoken frustrations don't disappear. They quietly pile up like hidden clutter in a home. Over time, that silent buildup of resentment can create emotional walls between partners, slowly replacing intimacy with distance. Healthy disagreements, when handled with patience and respect, are not signs of a failing relationship. They're proof that both people care enough to invest energy into making things better. Open communication allows for misunderstandings to be cleared, feelings to be acknowledged, and compromises to be reached. In fact, couples who learn how to navigate conflict productively often come out stronger, because each resolution builds trust and reinforces the idea that the relationship can weather challenges. The truth is, a thriving marriage is not one that avoids change or conflict. It's one that embraces growth and handles challenges with emotional maturity. When both partners are evolving individually while working together as a team, The relationship feels less like a static commitment and more like an exciting, lifelong adventure. If you want, I can now expand this into an even longer story-driven format that blends real-life examples and psychology insights so it feels richer and more immersive for your audience. That way, it would read like an expert-level YouTube script segment. It's also worth noting that personal growth plays a direct role in keeping the marriage alive. Not just in the early years, but throughout the entire journey together. Think of it this way. When you first met your partner, they were drawn to your uniqueness, your drive, your sense of curiosity about life. If that spark of individuality fades because you stop growing, the relationship can easily slip into autopilot. But when each partner continues to evolve, whether it's through learning a new skill, pursuing a hobby, advancing in a career, exploring creative passions, or simply committing to self-improvement, they bring a constant flow of fresh energy back into the relationship. This personal evolution doesn't just benefit you individually. It becomes a gift to the relationship, offering new stories to share, fresh perspectives to discuss, and exciting experiences to enjoy together. Emotional boredom often thrives in stagnation. If both people get stuck in a repetitive routine, the relationship can begin to feel like an endless loop. Predictable, safe, but uninspiring. On the other hand, when both partners are actively engaged in their own personal journeys, the relationship becomes more dynamic. It starts to feel like you're walking through life alongside someone who is not only your partner but also a constantly evolving person you get to rediscover over and over again. This sense of discovery keeps admiration alive, and admiration is one of the most underrated forces in long-lasting love. Finally, it's essential to address conflicts openly instead of letting resentment quietly build up over time. Many couples believe that avoiding disagreements keeps the peace, but in reality, silence often breeds emotional distance. When issues are ignored, unresolved frustrations pile up like invisible walls, slowly separating partners until they feel more like polite roommates than lovers. Suppressed emotions create an undercurrent of tension that eventually turns into boredom. Not because the relationship has lost potential, but because the emotional connection has been blocked. Healthy disagreements, when handled with mutual respect and empathy, can actually strengthen the bond. Disagreeing means you care enough to voice your feelings and fight for the health of the relationship. It shows that you value honesty over superficial harmony. Constructive conflict allows couples to clear the air, rebuild trust, and come out stronger on the other side. It's not about winning or losing an argument. It's about understanding each other better, finding solutions together, and proving that you can handle challenges as a team. In the end, a marriage that thrives is one where both individuals are growing personally, sharing that growth with each other, and facing challenges with openness instead of avoidance. Passion doesn't disappear on its own. It fades when curiosity, growth, and emotional connections stop being nurtured. Keep evolving, keep communicating, and the relationship will feel alive no matter how many years pass. At the heart of it, emotional boredom in marriage isn't a sign that you're with the wrong person. It's a signal that the relationship is craving new life. Love doesn't simply disappear with the passing years. It withers when we stop nurturing it. Just like a plant that's left in a dark corner without water, even the strongest connection will begin to wilt if it's not cared for. Many couples mistake this quiet fading for incompatibility, when in reality, it's a lack of intentional effort. When we first fall in love, curiosity drives everything. We want to know every detail, every story, every thought of the other person. But as years pass, we often stop asking questions because we think we already know them. Yet people change, sometimes in small ways and sometimes in profound ways. If you stop paying attention, you miss the new chapters your partner is writing. That's when boredom creeps in, not because there's nothing left to discover, but because we've stopped looking. Keeping your marriage emotionally alive means showing up every day with curiosity, effort, and openness. It means noticing the small changes in your partner, the way their opinions evolve, the new passions they develop, the challenges they face. It's about continuing to date them, even after decades together, by planning small surprises, sharing adventures, or simply sitting down to talk without distractions. The most beautiful truth about long-term love is this. It's not about holding on to the exact same person you met years ago. That person has grown, changed, and evolved, just as you have. Real love is about falling in love with each new version of them, over and over again, while allowing them to fall in love with the evolving version of you. And when both partners commit to this ongoing rediscovery, the relationship doesn't just survive. It deepens, becoming richer, warmer, and more meaningful with time.